This is IBM Museum. I'm back on my tweener system in this video, the Windows XP 32-bit system that I have with a diskette drive, and then I've got that USB drive on top, and I'm going to make an attempt at getting the diskettes I have for Visual Basic 2 onto images on the USB stick. Here's my kind of weathered Visual Basic 2 box. And what I'm hoping to do is that it's an upgrade compatible version, or that it's able to be upgraded to this Visual Basic disk that I have. This disk warns on it that it checks for to make sure that you have a upgradable product in the Visual Basic. So I'm just hoping that this will go through, and at least I'll get Visual Basic 2 onto Windows 95. And Visual Basic 2 is a 16-bit programming environment. And then I made, back in the day, I made copies of the diskettes. We're going to find out if everything's still good here. And so let me get into WinImage, and we're going to attempt to read the diskette. I guess I could put that up on screen to be seen. Okay, so good so far with that backup diskette. So it's maybe good to get these diskettes over to an image file anyway. Okay. So it read that. And I'm not sure why. Okay. That just looks like a strange format. Let's go through and read the diskette 2. I think I've actually got some sort of odd backup. I don't know if I was really aware on how. Yeah, I've got that temp and temp 2, and they have the files in there. And look at that date of the 19th of April of 1993. That's when I would have would have been backing these up. I'll let it complete, but I'm going to read the originals. Because this is not going to be any format that's so okay. And no, we're not willing to save. This is much better. I even put the backup copies I had in plastic diskette sleeves, but not the originals. Okay. Okay, so we'll save the first one. We'll do as a, I don't want to do a compressed image, just a regular image file. We do VB2 disk 1 is a good enough name for it. Okay. Disk number 2. Go through and read the disk. And I used Visual Basic 2 for quite some time. I really enjoyed it. And I went through, I think, most of the steps from there to go to Visual Basic. I have Visual Basic 3 somewhere. I think this box, I haven't even seen a version identifier on it, but I think it's version, oh, it is on the side. Programming System version 4. I almost thought it was version 5. Okay. And so we're going to save that as, I already had, and it automatically came up with the name. That's amazing. I didn't think it'd be, WinImage would be that intuitive to know. I already had a VB2 disk 1. So let's go save for that. Okay. Get those diskettes out. We'll get them in a safe place. It's good to know that they're still functional. And we'll get the USB drive in. And this is the replacement planer that I put on the system. That's the one thing I've noticed is the USB ports on the front of it are sure tight. Okay, so we can close out a WinImage. We bring up our USB floppy. We're going to go for 5 and 6. So we've got 5 selected for single. We're going to go write image file. And we're going to have to select all files. Okay, and then we have our disk 1. 100% usage. And for the number 6, we will go with our disk number 2. So I've got those in allocated areas on the USB drive. And it is time to get switched over to the NCR system again and install the program. So I'll be back in just a moment. Okay, and I'm in front of the NCR 3433, Windows 95. And I guess I can show on camera. I'm putting the thumb drive in, going to the 005, and okay. And we should have a setup.exe. Okay, initializing Microsoft Visual Basic Setup. Okay. Visual Basic version 2 for Windows Standard Edition. Oh, wow. So it's understood that when I registered it before, and that was my dad's business back in the day, by the way. Get to reveal all my okay, so we're going to do a complete installation. Microsoft Visual Basic Setup. Now is a great time to fill out your registration card. When you send it in, Microsoft will inform you of product updates, offer you customer support, provide you with information about related Microsoft products. And when it gets time to change diskettes, it'll just be toggling a button on that GoTech drive. And I expect this to get at least halfway through. Copying the files. And then we still have the Visual Basic 4 that I want to see if that'll be an upgrade product. So we'll have both the Visual Basic 4.0 and the Visual C++ 4.0. Okay, insert disk 2 into A. So I'm just pressing the button to toggle that to the 006 and selecting OK. Quickest diskette change I've ever done. And I probably need to make a note card of what I've got in each one of those spots on that USB drive. And the all critical VB run 200.dll. Okay, 0 objects, 0 bytes. Okay, there it goes through. Okay. And let's just briefly run. In fact, let's see with the introduction to Visual Basic. See what that does. Okay. The short demonstration will show how to create Visual Basic applications fast. Okay. That's some pretty nice graphics. Okay, the form. The toolbox. Properties window. The code window. The project window. Okay, use the design tools to create Windows-based applications in 3 easy steps. And Visual Basic, if you haven't used it, it is very easy. Okay, you create the interface, set the properties, write the code. Okay. Okay. Writing the code. The most widely used structured programming language. Okay. DDE is dynamic data exchange. OLE is object linking and embedding. DLL is a dynamic link library, very critical part of the Windows environment. And VBX is a Visual Basic extension, I think. Yeah, custom controls. And I went through and I even bought some custom controls over time. I have a 5 1/4 inch diskette in the Visual Basic 2 package that I've written on there, the custom controls, and I've even forgotten which ones I bought, but I'm sure that I was using them at the time. Okay. Sample applications. Okay. What makes Visual Basic the fastest way to program for Windows? I didn't know there'd be a quiz. Or are they going to say all the features? Fastest way to program for Windows. Okay, so let's just run the Visual Basic. Oh, it even has a sample application. But let's go through and run. I don't know if I have to be on. Oh, the button out in front here. Okay. So there is and that loaded up quick for this system. There's my form, basically drawing what I want on the window. And okay. And it prompts us about all the changes. We could even did that sample. Okay, so we've got Visual Basic 2. And I'll go through and effectively eject the diskette. Although for that, I think you could satisfy these on the upgrade products by inserting the disk. And I think you had to go through and had to pretty much insert every disk that you had one by one, and it went through and read that. But now it's a trial by fire. We're going to find out if this is going to be satisfied to do the upgrade to Visual Basic 4, the professional edition for that. Okay. And it should have I would have thought it had an auto run on this, but maybe not. Okay. And do we have M? I'm not sure if the M setup or the setup. Okay. And it even has the README. Okay, in the standard help format. Okay. And you can do both the 32-bit and the 16-bit versions, I think, on the same system. And that really helped for doing your porting to a between the 16-bit and the 32-bit. Okay. Okay. And I'll be right back after I put that CD key information in. Okay, and there is my product key. If I happen to call Microsoft for technical support, I will be asked for that number. And I've already written it down. I wrote it down in the CD case years ago. Okay, it's an upgrade, and it will examine the system. Okay, and apparently it was happy with that because it's now going through in the later steps. Okay, and we're going to do a complete, and this is the 32-bit portion, and I'm going to try and do the 16-bit version after this. So I'll have everything okay. It's on its way. Register today. Now is a great time to fill out the registration card. After you send in the card, Microsoft will notify you of new product releases and upcoming events. Provide access to support services and information about Microsoft products. So I have to see, I'm on 28 minutes of recording time so far. And I can show all the different screens it goes through. Developing with Microsoft Office. You use to build integrated solutions with Microsoft Office and back office applications. And I even have the Microsoft Assembler program, and that is on diskettes that I could also load. This being the Windows 95 system, I mean, I'll develop things for that environment or the 16-bit Windows 3.1, 3.0, 3.1x. Hosting OLE controls. And for the 16-bit version, it'll probably be the same screen sequence. And so I might, when I do that process, I might pause the video for a good portion of that. Jet database engine. I remember and version 4 of Visual Basic, that's when they really started integrating that database aspect to it. That was the rage at the time. Data-bound OLE controls. And enhanced ODBC. Build libraries of open, reusable components. Full 32-bit operating system support. Visual Basic now allows you to build applications for Microsoft Windows NT and Microsoft Windows 95. Visual Basic now has full Windows 95 look and feel. Okay, and we're up to the thanks. Apparently there was some sequence to those slides. They didn't repeat like some of the products and just go through. Okay, updating the system. Once I get the 16-bit version on there, I think it'd be interesting to look through at the hard drive to find out how much space that has. Okay, so we're going to do okay. And same thing. Okay. There's my product code for that. Okay. Okay, to replace the previous version, okay, that's a dynamic hourglass. Okay, so let's do a custom. And there may have been some steps. I'm trying to remember back in the day of what I to go through and preserve the older Visual Basic environment and get the new version on there. Okay, so this is going to be a repeat of a lot of the slides, and so I'm going to go through and pause. We are at coming up on 37 minutes of recording time. I'm also going to do that Microsoft Developer Network, the MSDN. So I'll be back when this process gets a little bit closer to completion. Okay, it just got through. It's moving through rather quickly. The end was copying files. Okay. Okay, completed successfully. And we're going to do that MSDN starter kit. Okay, the appropriate version of the license. Okay. Okay, click on, we're done reading this, so we're going to speed read. And I'm glad that it activates that command button. July of 1995. Okay. Okay. And we could review it again. Okay. Let's go through. Let's do a custom setup. Okay. Wow. So we have quite a bit of selections there. Okay. And maximum copies, additional files, or best performance, 2 megabyte required instead of just 1 megabyte. That's a hard decision. Do I want to use that extra megabyte on the hard drive? My choice is yes. That's quick. Okay. Okay. Let's see what's to that. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember really running through a lot of this before. Okay, that's what's there. That's what's to this. We're going to go through and we're going to exit. There we have the Visual Basic 16-bit. This is the CD-ROM drive, and we can go through and eject that CD, save it away in a safe place. And we should have more listed programs now. The Visual C++ version 4, that MSDN. Oh, and it did even separate that because we have, oh, okay. No, it's just the mistake. I could have gone through and I could have, so that's extraneous. That's extraneous listing now for Visual Basic 2, then the Visual Basic 4. I could even maybe go through and reinstall the Visual Basic 2 to its own I'm trying to adjust the numbers and I didn't even have the so I could go through and I could do that. I'm probably not going to do that on video, but I'll probably go through and then update the pointers and things there. And our 16-bit. I wonder where our 32. Okay, so that's the 32-bit. Just identified as version 4. System info. Okay. And then the 16-bit is the identified as that. So there's some nice development tools on here now for me to work with. So right at about 45 minutes of recording time. If you enjoyed this video, click on that like button and please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Recommend that to all your friends for them to subscribe to this channel too. And that is all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you.